What is up, crew? It's your boy Kaycem, and we are here to start day one of the Creature Design Bootcamp, which will be a series where I will be covering all the cool foundational things related to animal design, creature design, and then building those things into our own creations and fun, cool creatures. Now, I want to preface that this is a new bootcamp series, and I'm not really going to be teaching you guys things that I already know. Instead, I'll actually be teaching myself things and sharing that knowledge with you guys. So do take everything I say with a grain of salt. I am learning these things, and these things probably will change over time, right? But with that being said, if you guys are here for the first time, my name is Kaycem. I am a professional artist in the animation industry, having worked for studios that have done stuff like Castlevania, Legends of Vox Machina, and recently I worked on a show called The Mighty Nine. So if you guys are interested in some free art education, you guys like some cool anime or animation, or you just want to hang out with me and my dog who is over there on the TV screen, make sure to leave a follow if you're watching from Twitch, like and subscribe if you're watching from YouTube, and I hope you guys enjoy this series. And if you're wondering where you can grab this cheat sheet right here, which I made for day one, you guys can either grab this whenever I go live on Twitch. You guys can grab this. I'll put this on the Discord channel, so join my Discord, or you can find it over on my Gumroad when I start uploading it, or you could find it when I start posting it on my premium membership over on Discord. But honestly, if I'm just give you guys a quick heads up, I usually reshare and repost a lot of these resources anyways when I'm live. So just join the live stream and you can grab these for free. Now, with that being said, let's jump into today's topic, day one. What are we covering today? Well, we're going to be covering actually the most important, probably iconic creature, which is the human first. We're going to give you guys a baseline, all right? And then that way I can also start talking about the differences and commonalities between humans and animals. Now, I also want to just give a quick disclaimer that for the first couple days of the bootcamp, we are going to be focusing on the classification of animals in the vertebrate subclass, meaning we're going to be focusing on animals who are mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, and amphibians, because I think it'll give me a clear focus and direction to start studying, as opposed to just studying the broad scale of animals, which you guys can imagine there are a ton of, right? So this will help me focus. And for the first couple days in particular, we'll be focusing on mammals because they will be the closest to us humans, because we are mammals, I think. I'm not sure. Somebody let me know in the comments. So just wanted to put that out there, right? But we are going to hopefully get to all of these other types of subclasses of vertebrates. And then maybe we'll get into the freaky eeky of spiders and insects and whatnot. But okay, so that now that we've got that covered, let's jump into what we're going to start off with. And what we're going to do to start things off is I actually want to talk about the torso. Now, the torso is going to be, this is going to be a loose generalization, right? If you guys really want to deep dive on the torso, I highly recommend you check out my character design bootcamp, which is all focused on character anatomy, character forms, proportions, and design, all of those things. But this one right here, we're going to be kind of simplifying it to just the baseline things that we need to know, right? And the baseline actually starts off by drawing this nice, simple egg shape, all right? I'm sure a lot of you, if you've seen tutorials and stuff, you've probably been like, you've seen this egg-esque shape before for the torso, but I'm going to break down why it looks the way it does. Now, first, this is not just a random egg shape. It's actually meant to represent the 12 sets of ribs of the rib cage, which are structured around a couple landmarks. The first one here being the clavicle, right? The clavicle, also known as the collarbone. And one of the easiest ways to remember it is it just looks like a bike handle right here. Imagine you had bike handles on your next to your neck right there. And it's connected to something known as the sternum, right? And the sternum is going to be roughly ending, or it's going to roughly start at the first rib and then end at about the fifth rib right here. And then this arch right here, it's nice because all this is doing is it's landing at the 10th rib, right? And you can actually find all three of these landmarks. The clavicle right here, if you just touch yourself around your neck, educationally, And then if you go right here and just touch down on this hard part of the center, that's going to be your sternum. And then on the sides of your torso, I know my tablet is blocking it, but on the sides of your torso, there should be 2 sections right here. That is going to be where the 10th ribs are, right? Again, you can dive more into this a little bit later. Now, as we go into this, let me just quickly color this for you guys. All right, so we got here these. I will show you guys some of the easier ways that you can actually find these landmarks. So for now, don't worry too much. I'm just gonna start drawing a couple things. But as we move down from the torso, let's actually take a look now at the pelvis. And one of the landmarks we can use for the pelvis is going to be the frontal section there. And there's actually 2 little nubby sections, which is known as the piscis, which is related to the pelvic crest or the iliac crest. And these are great landmarks for us to just determine where that pelvis region starts. And also what we're going to do is we're going to create a little bit of a box shape, right? From that section all the way roughly to the bottom of the pelvis. Now notice how I'm not going all the way down right here, because that's where that crotch region has a bit of fat and genitalia and all that stuff. But the actual skeletal structure of the pelvis is roughly going to be about here, right? And this right here will be the nice boxy shape of the pelvic region. So we're going to go ahead and fill that out. Ooh, looks like a interesting color. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to highlight for you guys, as I mentioned, some of these landmarks, right? So we talked a bit about the landmarks. So here is these bony landmarks of the clavicle. Nice and easy. Let me do that in actually a different pen style. The bony landmark here of the sternum. And then the bony landmarks, I'll just note them in little dots here, of the ribs and the pelvic section. Now here is where things can get really fun, because you might say, Kaycem, this is a lot of info, right? Like, how am I supposed to remember all of this stuff? There's a lot of things here you're showing me, which I totally understand. There are a lot of things. So let me go ahead and make it easier for you. All right, this is where the fun starts. I'm gonna go ahead and just duplicate this and move it over here to the side. Now, what's really cool about knowing these landmarks, guys, is that the human body is actually very nicely proportioned. What do I mean by this? Well, if I go ahead and just take from the, let's just say here, the top of this, this clavicle shape, right? All the way down, and I just make a square. A nice simple square like this. What does this tell us? Well, it tells us that roughly halfway from this square, right? So this is just a square shape. Roughly halfway, I'll go like this, is going to be the length from the clavicle to sternum, which is cool, right? And then also from here, the length from the sternum to the 10th ribs. Very cool. But there's actually even more, right? I sound like an advertisement. But wait, there's more. Because if you take that same square and you bring it down, look at this. Oh, it's crazy. Because what does this tell you? Well, it tells you now that not only is that square relevant to the top, but it also tells you that the pelvis is roughly just 1 square distance down, right, from the clavicle. And it also tells you that the pelvis is roughly, again, 1/4, right? So this is the piscis, which I will be breaking down as an acronym. Posterior, I always forget what it stands for. Maybe I should look it up. Posterior, I'm going to say it's posterior, like superior iliac spine. But let's see if we can get the proper terminology. It is posterior superior iliac spine. Nice. Oh wait, this is the back of the pelvis. Sorry, this is the ACEs. My bad, guys. I was using anterior and posterior incorrectly. Good thing I Google searched. I know someone in the YouTube comments is like, bro said posterior. My bad. ACEs. Anterior, I'll write it down. Anterior, superior, iliac spine. Okay. Anterior here meaning in the front, I believe. Let me see. Anterior meaning. Cool. Anterior meaning nearer to the front. Nice. Perfect. So that means at the aces to the bottom, right? To the bottom of pelvis, basically. And so we have here these basic shapes that we can start to use as general landmarks for the body, right? Now you can maybe start to understand why sometimes people use box shapes to be able to denote the human body, right? It's because it's related to the proportions of the torso and the pelvis, which is really handy. It can be a really easy way just to kind of determine these things. Now, I want to preface that obviously as you start to change your style, different body types, maybe different ages, these things might not be an exact rule that you need to follow, but it's again more of a quick kind of checker, a quick guide that you can look to be like, okay, cool, the torso is roughly this length, right? The hips are roughly this length. But let's go ahead and continue on to the next example over here. And I always think it's valuable to study things three-dimensionally, right? We don't want to just study the torso flat as a 2D image. We want to think about it as a 3D volume, as a 3D form. And actually, matter of fact, let me go ahead and move and change this gorilla here to this cheat sheet, so that way you guys can see some of the anatomy, right? We're not going to go over too much of all the forms of the anatomy today. We'll get to some of them. We'll highlight the ones that are most important as we continue this sheet. But all right, let's go ahead and let's continue on to the next one. So let's go ahead and draw the rib cage, right? And here we're gonna go in a little bit of side view and just go like this, go like that, right? Now that we have a general idea of the shape, this will become very handy for us. And I did want to mention as I was drawing this that if you guys have any questions whatsoever, right, about what I'm doing, please leave the comments, leave some comments on the YouTube side so that way I can help either clarify them in the comments or I can add them onto the next day, right, like day 2 or something. And if you join live, that's probably the best way to answer questions because I can literally do it on the spot. Like it's so much faster. But I understand not everybody can catch the live streams. It might not match your schedule. So if YouTube is the best place to do it, then yeah, please leave some comments out here. And you know what? If you don't like it, if you're like, man, Kaycem, this stuff sucks, leave a comment for that too, I guess. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm just a guy who's trying to teach myself things, but I'm also having enough hubris to post it on the internet for other people to speculate on and watch as well. And that's okay. It is what it is. But we're going to go in here. And again, don't forget to add that tilt, right? The tilt is going to be so important here. And we'll get to that in a bit when we actually talk about the spine of the human. But for now, I would say pay attention to that tilt. I like to have a little bit of a tilt forward. So let me actually exaggerate that quite a bit more. The tilt is going to be so valuable in understanding the curvature of the spine. So don't neglect that. Okay. And then let's go ahead here and let's fill it out. Whee! Like so. And I know that there's a lot of information we're covering today. That's usually how I do these streams. So I apologize if it's your first time. I don't know how long this video will be. I guarantee it's going to be over an hour at the least. But I do apologize if it's a little bit heavy-handed on information. For me personally, I just find that not a lot of tutorials on YouTube are in-depth. And again, this is not to discredit any YouTuber. It's more of just how the algorithm works. Most of the algorithm does benefit shorter videos and also highly edited videos. So I'm kind of in the maybe exception here where I like to post very unedited, highly dense, long videos. So I don't know who's watching these, but if you're watching it now, thank you, I guess. I appreciate you for watching and following along. But I do think there is a benefit of doing stuff in real time, because I think that's the real actual way we practice, right? And for those of you who grab this worksheet and follow along with me, this could be a great exercise for you to just follow along as I do this. As opposed to just seeing the edited version and then you're like, boom, here's a torso in side view, here's a blah blah blah, you know, whatever. Sorry, I'm rambling. This is the torso now in side view, and let's go ahead and do exactly what we did earlier. And I'm just going to oh shit, wait I'm going to go like this, copy pasta, and I'm gonna slide this one over here, right? We have that. And okay, and now I'm gonna merge these. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna merge them, and then we're gonna do that red box thing again that we did, right? Because you know sometimes you gotta make sure, right? And you're like, all right, Kaycem, it worked for one example, but come on, man, does it actually work all the time? It works a good number of the time. I hope. Let's see. So we're gonna go in and let's throw in a little box shape right here. I would say that the box is probably tilting a little bit downward, like so. Okay, like that. And then we have here another box shape, right? And that box shape maybe is going down like this. Again, purely a rough estimate, right? A rough estimate. It's not going to be exact, but it's just an easy way. Just an easy way to just double check these landmarks for yourself. And what I like to do as a next step, and I'll do it on the top one too, I didn't do it, is I like to just add a center line, right? A nice little center line there to just really help you solidify some of these things. But yeah, you can kind of see how powerful it is and how you can start to use this as a baseline mannequin shape, right? Just throw in a box, 2 boxes, add a little neck space right here, right? Boom, bam, boom, and you've got yourself a character. But let's go ahead and do it one more time for the sake of redundancy, for the sake of practice. And then from there, we're going to jump into probably one of the hardest animals to draw, which is the horse. Great. Day 1, right? What a way to start. We're gonna go from drawing humans to horses all in one day. Hopefully you guys are still with me on this. But let's do it one more time here. All right, classic Miles Morales Spider-Man line, right? This is the last time we're gonna do this. Maybe not. So we're gonna go in here, find that structure, and you can start to see that egg shape really take form, right? And again, I haven't really talked about the nuances and the curvatures of this egg. I will get to that when we get into the spine. All right, so bear with me again. A lot of info to cover. So we have here this. Then we have here the pelvis. And look at this. We're going to add that tilt. I'm obsessed with drawing tilted boxes. Hey, look at that. Boom. All right, then we're going to overlay it. Nice and simple. There it is. Do an overlay here. Boom. And we got ourselves a box. And for the sake of things, for the sake of continuity, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add those landmarks, right? The nice bony landmarks. We got here the clavicle, which you can actually see really nicely from side view, how it actually reaches up to the side there. It's this thing called the acromion process. That connects to the back of the scapula and actually creates the shoulder girdle shape. We're not going to get into that too much today. Probably day 2 we will. But if you really want to go in depth on all of these things, anatomy, proportions, all of that stuff, specifically just for the human body, again, do go check out my character design bootcamp. It has existed on my YouTube channel for a bit of time now. It's what I probably am mostly known for on the internet. That and my dogs probably. So go check it out if you haven't yet, and maybe if you've already seen it, maybe it's a good refresher, right, to check that out before jumping back into this. or while you're watching this, because hey, it's the new year, start of the year. Why not, right? Why not get learnt and turned while we are most driven and excited to do it? All right, New Year's resolution, pick up a new skill, learn some new stuff, and then hopefully not burn out. Ha ha ha. But let's go ahead and let's copy this. Let's move this over, and then let's draw that box one last time. Where is that box? That cheeky box layer. Okay, so we're going to start off here. And I'm going to go ahead and just, you know, draw that box shape. And I think I might have actually made the rib cage too big. See, this is why this is great. This is why it's valuable to do this. I think I made the, oh yeah, I see it now. But I made that box shape and the pelvic shape actually too big. This is why it's great. It's great to use this as a way to gauge. Way to gauge yourself. Gauge it, correct yourself. And again, I'm doing all this live, right? So that way you guys can actually see how I'm approaching these things and even correcting it for myself, because I think that's part of the value, but also struggle of being a self-taught artist, which I guess I haven't mentioned yet on this video, but I am primarily self-taught, right? Everything that I've shared with you guys here on the internet, everything I've learned has not been through an art school. It's been for me just taking the time to observe these things, but more importantly, finding ways to correct myself, right? I think that's a very valuable skill to develop as a self-taught artist, is being able to tell yourself what's working and what's not, right? It's a very difficult and yet valuable core skill to learn. But thankfully, because of that whole red box technique that I showed you guys, I was able to spot some of these mistakes and some of these corrections that we are now modifying here. So I can see here now that that pelvis was a little bit bigger. Okay, but and the rib cage too. But honestly, the rib cage is fine. It's fine. It's okay. I'll shrink it a little bit, right? And there you go. So now we have this. I'm going to go ahead and merge this one with all the other layers. You guys have to sit through me doing layer management. I'm being a good artist here and actually trying to organize my layers before it becomes a nightmare. And then I just have like 10 to 20 to 30 layers of unnamed things. We've all been there. I'm gonna go in there and just color this so you guys can see it just a little better. You know, doesn't hurt to have a little bit of aesthetic in these little worksheets and cheat sheets. Okay, so we've gone over the basics of the torso. Yay. W's in the chat. Hold on. Wrong button. Actually, wrong button. Yay! We've done it. We've done it. Woo! Though that fa does feel pretty accurate. Next, what we're gonna do before we jump into the horse, I think it's important to talk about. The spine, right? We've alluded to the spine a couple times now, but let's go ahead and let's actually dive in to what the heck is going on with the spine. And I'm going to flip the canvas here and let's talk about it. Am I on a new layer? Yes, I am. So the spine. Now the spine is an interesting structure because the spine, which I've conveniently cut off, I'll just pretend like it's here. The spine is a nice curvy structure that, because of the classification of animal, right? All mammals and all categories of vertebrae will have a spine. So it makes our lives easier, right? Fish will have it, birds will have it, amphibians will have it, obviously humans will have it, right? but they're all going to have this spinal little structure. Hold on, I need to sneeze. Okay, there. Sorry, thank you. Okay, thank you for your patience. So they're all going to have this structure, and I'm just going to go ahead and curve it out here based off of the side profile. This is why I wanted to wait for the side profile here. But this is going to be the general structure of the spine, right? Nice and wiggly, nice and easy. And the spine is actually really cool because it can be separated into a couple sections, right? The first section being the first set of vertebrae. And actually, hold on, there are some wigglies. There are some little piggly wigglies out here, and we're not going to dive too much into that because, again, that is a character design bootcamp topic for now. Maybe when we get into animal spines and stuff, we'll really dive into it. But we're going to have here that first section, and this first section of the vertebrae, right? This one right here is going to be known as the cervical. Now, this is going to be important, guys, because it's going to be related to the animal stuff, right? This is why we're covering this, not just because I'm having funsies out here, but because this will be related to the differences between animals and humans, or I should say maybe some mammals, right? Horses and felines and all that stuff. So this right here is a cervical portion of the vertebrae, and this will actually comprise of vertebrae. This will comprise of C1 to C7. So the first 7 little structures there of the spine, and maybe I can actually find a picture for you guys because we're not going to dive too much into this. So I will probably save myself and you guys some time if I just show you a picture of a human spine. Hopefully not gross, just like a regular looking spine. Yeah, maybe let's just do that. That way I don't have to draw it out, you know? It's too much work. There's already so many things we're talking about. Excellent. Yeah. Google search has saved me once more. Now there's a lot of info. Okay. There's a lot of info going on here. So you don't get scared. All right, don't be spooked now. I'm going to highlight what's most important to us. Thankfully we can get rid of this layer now. So nice. But the main things to pay attention to, again, are going to be this first section right here, which is the cervical vertebrae, right? Then we have here the thoracic portion, and you can actually see how it's labeled T1 to T12, meaning there are 12 sections of this, right? So the thoracic portion, and then the lumbar portion, which is related to the lower back. So the ways that you can remember this is the cervical portion is your neck. It's the human neck. The thoracic portion is part of your thorax, also your torso. So T for torso, T for thoracic, and then the lumbar section for your lower back. The one that once you hit like the age of 25, that shit starts to hurt. I don't know what it is, but once you get out of college, your lower back is just always in pain. And then you have here the pelvic curvature, which is mostly comprised of the sacrum, right? The little thing there, sacrum, sacral section, right? I don't know why they don't have it labeled as sacral, but we're going to label it the sacral section. And this will be pretty prominent for animals because this is where the tailbone will start to come out of, right? Very cool little tailbone structure going on there. But what's interesting, right? What's more interesting than the names themselves, which you guys can look at in this picture, is the curvature, right? That's the main thing I wanted to highlight here because that is going to be one of the first major differences of a human versus an animal, okay? And particularly quadrupeds versus bipedal animals. This is what actually makes one of the many things that makes humans unique. Hold on. Zoop. Zoop, zoop, zoop. Okay. And why does this make us unique? Well, one of the first things is that humans, if you guys didn't know, is we walk. wait, we walk on our 2 feet, right? Meaning we are bipedal. We are bipedal creatures. So what this does for us, and let me write this down. I'm like trying to find space for it. I'm gonna move this horse. Okay. Actually, we're gonna need space. I'll put it right above here. Okay. So why this is important is that the human spines have a cervical region. I'll put this in red. Okay. Cervical region that curves I don't know what this is, convex. It curves essentially opposite, right? It curves opposite of the thorax. And it's mostly to support the head in an upright position. Now, this is not exclusive to the human, right? Most primates will have this. Gorillas actually don't have this, and you can find this on the cheat sheet. But gorillas don't have this, but most primates will have this. But what's interesting about humans is that because we almost are always on, standing, right? Unless you're a shrimp artist like myself and you have a curved spine, you will almost always have this, right? This is like a very unique, it's a very prominent part of what makes us human, and one of the things that we will see as a major difference when we actually get into the horse. But speaking of which, I think this is a good time and place to do that. So let me go ahead and clear a little bit of space here, because we're getting a lot of notes and floating stuff everywhere. So let me just move this. And if you guys have any questions, again, this might be a good time to type it. I'm sure you guys are already typing things in the chat. Hopefully positive things and not bad reviews. This lecture is too long. The guy spent 20 minutes talking about torsos, bro. man was talking about spines. Okay, let me just try to clear up some space here. Okay, well, hopefully you guys are ready. Maybe take a breather. Me, I have been drinking matcha tea from a local cafe, and then there's like a little Hello Kitty cup holder. I think the green screen is getting rid of it, but it's here. But anyways, let's jump in now, and let me actually try to find a nice layer for all this. There's so many layers. I will group it all together. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. So now let's talk about the horse, right? Let's see if we can compare some of this anatomy stuff that we've just covered with le horse. Now, I just want to also mention that the horse is probably one of the hardest animals to start off with. But that's okay. Don't be scared. Okay? Don't be scared. We're gonna make it out of this one alive. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just find first and foremost the general landmarks of the horse, right? And we're gonna start off by just looking at the rib cage here. And I'm just gonna find this big blocky structure. Now, in future videos, we are gonna go over, so don't worry, but we are gonna go over how to find these landmarks and all of that stuff. So just kind of take my word for now, okay? All right, what's the word? Suspend your disbelief, or whatever people say. I don't know what people actually say. Suspend your disbelief on what I'm gonna be telling you, and just assume for now this is roughly where that rib cage is going to lie. Where are the notes? My notes disappeared. Okay, there you go. And let me just shrink it a little bit. Okay. Let me rotate it a little bit there. Like so. And let me pull it back a bit as well. That looks happy to me. Let's go ahead and draw the head as well. And here for the head, we're going to just kind of bring it all the way down. We're going to create a little nasal cavity there. Okay. And then we're going to just kind of go like this. Nice. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually connect the neck to the head. Now, as I mentioned, humans have a spine that curves to support the head. But one of the first things you'll notice about little horsey over here is how this section of the head is actually curving this way. It's curving like this, right? Whereas the human neck curves like this. You see that? So that's kind of, again, one of the first like major differences here that we're just gonna note and pay attention to, right? We're gonna be mindful of this as we go into this example. And then another thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna actually now extend this spine to the rest of the body, because this will also help us figure out where the pelvis will be, right? So easy peasy, we're going to get the pelvis, we're going to get all of those major components nicely situated here. And maybe this is actually a little too exaggerated here, so we're gonna just kind of bring it down a little bit. Okay, this might have been too optimistic here for a neck curve for a horse. Okay. Then yeah, we're gonna go in now, and let's draw the rest of the spine. And again, this is gonna be a generalization. And if there's anything to take away from this maybe series, this is probably gonna be it, right? Like if you have no time to watch anything else, you're like, Kaycem, I don't really, I'm a little busy. I'm a busy man. Give me the TLDR. How draw animal, right? Kaycem, how draw animal. This is probably going to be it. Just paying attention to this generalization of the animal, because this will actually follow across the board for almost all quadrupedal animals. There are going to be some differences in the arms and legs, which we will get to hopefully on today's bootcamp. And if not, that's okay. We will have plenty of other days to do this. But this is probably it, right? This is like the bread and butter, like understanding the general structure, understanding the placement of the rib cage, right? All of that stuff. And then going in here now, let's add that tailbone. If you guys recall, I mentioned earlier how the tailbone is going to be different from humans. Well, it's kind of obvious because animals will have tails, and humans, we don't have tails, so not really a big surprise there. But this is one of those things that is already notably different. And then last but not least, now we're going to get into actually placing the pelvis, or not, because instead we're going to get to that one. We're going to sidebar a little bit, okay? We're going to sidebar to placing the pelvis because, you know what? Let's do it now. I'll place the pelvis now, but here's the thing. We're going to put a pin on it and come back to why it looks the way it does, because it's going to look vastly different from how the human pelvis looks like, right? And we don't have an example of that, but I believe it is here on the cheat sheet. Yay! This is why you have a cheat sheet, so that way I don't have to do all the hard work. Well, we're going to place it here, so that way you guys at least have a generalization of where it is going to be, right? So now that we have this, we can kind of start to see how the differences are, right? We have already a major spinal difference, which is great to observe. And then also we have a different relationship of sizing, right? The torso is clearly much larger than the pelvic region than what we had previously with the human body. Now, we will get to proportions and stuff probably on day 2. So let's not worry too much about that. But what I will do is I'll go in here and let me just fill these shapes out in a nice gray color. This is going to be what the diagram will already have on my cheat sheet. So if you guys are lazy and you don't want to do this one with me, that's okay. Just follow the cheat sheet, I guess. The cheat sheet already did some of this example. But I think it's good to walk through it together. That way you understand what I'm thinking about when I'm observing these things. Can I just go like this? If I just do this. Yes. The future is here, guys. This is the kind of AI technology I want. A smart AI that knows how to color fill properly. Not the kind of AI that is trying to steal from artists and replace us, but not actually benefit us or the industries that they're trying to insert themselves into. But that is not what this video is about. So let's not rant about AI any more than that. This is the nice and simple stuff. Okay, so now that we've done this, what I want to actually do is dive now into drawing the arms. Now, you'll notice how we didn't really talk about arms here in this example, right? We kind of avoided it, but now we're going to talk about arms in the most baseline way that I could think of when it comes to drawing humans, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is, let's see if I can find this layer. That's the first step. Step number 1 is find this layer. I'm going to move it, and then I'm going to actually duplicate it for you guys. And the reason why is I want to highlight. I'm going to flatten this layer. It's not important. This is what I mean when I say I'm going to have like 30 bajillion layers. I'm already having 30 bajillion layers. But I'm gonna just lower the opacity here. And what I'm going to talk about is the actual range of motion of the human arm. This is important because this is going to be a major difference between humans and majority of animals that are quadrupedal. Why, you might ask? Well, because humans have the ability to reach over their head like this. And that is supported by the structure of the shoulder blades, the scapula, and also the muscles that we have, the deltoids and all that stuff. You will never see a horse be able to reach over its head. At least not in real life. Maybe in an anime or something, or in a video game when the horses start glitching out, right? But in real life, it's just physically not possible given the structure of these animals. And we'll get to that. But I wanted to first share this example by going over it here with the good old human, our guy, ourselves, right? So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and draw just a basic cylinder shape, right? And you'll find that I like to do this in general, but especially for these examples where we're not diving into majority of the anatomical structures, it's fine. It's fine to use basic shapes. If anyone ever tells you on the internet that basic shapes are bad, like stop using cylinders, bro, that's not how artists draw, they're lying to you, okay? They're weird. They're gatekeeping some weird thing. I don't know. I don't know why anyone would say that. Unfortunately, I've seen it. I've seen it happen too many times where people criticize other people on the internet because they're using baby blocks or whatever. Don't use this, don't use that. And it's like, what are you talking about? There's a time and place for everything, right? There's a tool. It's a tool, right? It works for some cases. It doesn't work for others, but that doesn't mean that you should never use it, right? If it benefits you creatively. Anyways, we have here this nice little cylindrical shape. And I'm going to just, wiggle it a little bit here. Okay. And what we're going to have is actually first the range of motion of the clavicle. Right. And I actually think these need to be higher. So let me place these higher relative to the torso there. There you go. So first what we're going to do is we're going to pay attention to the clavicle, right? So the clavicle is going to be positioning itself roughly about where we've drawn it. Like so. Okay. Let me lower this even more. Now, something that humans can do, guys, is we can actually go in here and we can raise our arms, right? We can raise our arms like so. And related to that, right, this also does raise our shoulder blades. So you guys can try this one yourselves, right? Raise your arm, see how it raises the shoulder blades, right? See that? Do it on one side, you can tell. And this range of motion, heck, we could even go more. We could go above and beyond. So much so that we start reaching for that horse face. Hold on, let me move little horsey over here just a bit. Oh man, this is the problem with having so many layers. I knew it was gonna come back to haunt us. Ah, that's okay. We'll move it one at a time. Jeez, the pain. Okay. Cool. I just wanted a little bit of room for us. Oh, I'm not cramping myself here. But humans have this ability to have a decent range of motion. And again, this range of motion is supported by our skeletal and muscular structure. Right? So as we raise, this clavicle goes up. On this side, it goes up. Like so. Looks a little crazy, I know. Just bear with me, I guess, on these examples. Kind of looks like a... what's that one creature from Ben 10, you know, with the multiple arms? I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. One of his alien transformations. And you can follow this arch, right? I didn't draw it the best, but you guys get it. You guys see the vision there. Okay. So we have this range of motion. Again, this range of motion is supported by the structure of our muscles, which we will get to on a later day, but I wanted to give you that visualization, right? This is something that makes us a little bit more unique than some other animals. Again, gorillas can do this and whatnot, but that's because they have similar structures to us, right? But for creatures that don't have that, well, how does it look like, right? How does it actually look like? Well, let's go ahead now and let's dive into the basic structures of the animals. And we'll start off with, again, our favorite animal. Our favorite animal, the human. Yay, we love humans, right? And what we're going to do is, let me actually do it on we could do it on this one. We've been using blue, so I'll keep it on blue. So we're going to start off by just labeling and structuring out the scapula, right? And this is going to be the example that I've done again on that cheat sheet. So if you guys don't want to, you don't want to do this one yourselves, that's okay. The cheat sheet is there. But I do think that realistically practicing this is going to be valuable. Like there's no harm in doing this again yourselves, right? It can only benefit you to practice these things more. So just keep that in mind, right? Don't let it deter you. Oftentimes I've seen people, for example, complain where they're like, man, Kaycem, I have to draw 100 heads. What do you mean I need to draw 100 heads to practice? It's like, well, if you think about it, buddy, you'll be drawing thousands, tens of thousands of heads as an artist, right? What are 10 heads? What are 100 heads to the amount of heads that you'll be drawing in your lifetime as an artist? It's negligible. This is another one of those examples. The reality is you're going to be drawing characters with arms so often, right? So studying these things and getting good at practicing them, as opposed to just neglecting them and even worse, ignoring them and refuting them, is only going to harm you, I think. But anyways, we're going to draw a couple structures and we're going to talk about them. We haven't really talked too much about bones on this stream other than the rib cage, right, and the sternum and all that stuff. But now we're going to dive into good old arms. And I'm going to move it. I will move it here. I'm trying to make room. But I'm going to move it here, and then I'm going to talk about them. So don't worry too much if you're like, whoa, 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 what are all these shapes here? So I want you just to follow along as best as you can, right? But we will, I promise you, we will get to these. And what the helly they all mean in a bit. Matter of fact, that bit is coming soon. Here, I'm going to simplify the hands into some squigglies. Don't worry too much. Okay. It is time. It is time for us to talk about this. So what do we got here? First of all, this is the human diagram of an arm, right? Human arm. I will write for you guys. Human arm. And what are some interesting components of good old human arm over here? Well, let's color them. First off, we have the structure of the spine. Oh, did I not color this? I see. Hold on. Oh, sorry, not the spine. The scapula. Now, the scapula we didn't draw yet on this one, but this is actually a bone that is so important for the back of humans and just mammals in general. It supports so much of the back muscles. And just like with other major bony landmarks, you can touch yourself and find this one. Reach over, okay? Reach over and try to touch your back. You could find a bony landmark right across the edge there on the back. That is actually part of the spine of the scapula that runs all the way up to the shoulder. Pretty nice and convenient, right? So the scapula is also known as the shoulder blades. So let's label that the shoulder blades. But we'll call it scapula because it sounds cooler and smarter. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever had to do that for PE class, but when I was younger, they always had to make us do this test for flexibility where we had to reach over and see if we could touch the back of your, touch your fingers from your back. And if you can't, everybody laughs at you because they're like, bro, look at this guy. He's immobile. He's got no flexibility. Yeah, that's this, essentially. You're rotating your arms back and adjusting the muscles over there in the back and the scapula so that you could be able to be like all the other kids and reach the back there. Reach your fingies from the back. But here we've got some other major groups, and we'll get to them. I just want to color code them for you guys. Nice and color coded. And then everything else we don't care about for now, we will make gray. Yay. We're not too focused. Oh, also my dog moved. Oops. Let's move him. Move the camera. I have a 360 camera that we can move so that we can capture my dog at all times, at all places. He cannot escape our observation. He is here for our entertainment. Imagine how interesting this, how less interesting, I should say, this stream would be if my dog wasn't here. He just adds a little bit of, like, I don't know, peace. It's like when you go to like a bookstore and they have a cat roaming around. It just makes that bookstore more legit. You're like, damn, okay, this is a nice vibe. You know, there's a cat there. You get to read a book, shop around. It makes it more cool. That's kind of the vibe here, right? We're learning, but it's chill. We're taking our time. We're talking about things. And look at how much we've drawn in that short amount of time. We're learning. We're growing. It's great. Fantastic. But anyways, these are going to be the 4 major bones that we're going to talk about for the arm, right? We got the scapula, which is going to be the shoulder blades, the humerus, which is the upper bone there of the arm, right? It's just one big log bone, nice and thick. It's the funny bone because it's humerus. Ha ha ha. Hold on. Ha ha ha. Humerus bone, right? I guess it's funny. Then we have the ulna and the radius. And what's cool about this is that the ulna bone is actually the bone from the joint right here. This is the bone that creates the elbow. The little elbow joint right there that you guys can feel for yourselves. That's the ulna right there. The radius is actually on the outer side, okay? The outer side right here, and it goes all the way to wherever the thumb is. But you might say, Kaycem, well, hold on, bro, because what if the thumb is going this way? Does that mean that the bone flips? Well, no, not necessarily, because what's cool about the radius is that it actually rotates. And so even though it stays here on the outer side, it can support rotation. That's why radius is similar to like the radius of a circle. Whoa, right? Radius. The radius bone allows for rotation of the hand. That's pretty cool. And that's why here I put it on the outer side because I wanted it to match where the thumb was. Now, this is going to be important, guys, because I'm going to tell you guys now, for some creatures, they don't have a radius and ulna. It's fused together. And you know what that means? It means they don't have the ability to rotate. We'll get to that one in a bit, okay? But I wanted to call it out here because this is going to be something that is interesting and relatively unique to humans. You know, I'm trying to hype us up. I'm trying to make humans cool in 2026, right? We're cool now. Look at us. We're so special. We got curved spines and rotating wrists, right? Ooh, so cool. But there's again, I'm highlighting these things because they are going to be important in addressing the differences between humans and other animals, and it'll make it easier for us, right? Because again, what I want to teach you guys, and in particular what I want to teach myself, is not necessarily just remembering these muscle diagrams of animals, right? Like, I don't think it's actually beneficial for me just to pull up horse skeleton and just remember what a horse skeleton looks like. What I want to do is I want to build relative knowledge. This is how I think you build long-term knowledge, because you start to associate things that are related to you and things that you can do. And then I can say, well, you know what? Horses can't do that. Or you know what? Horses don't have a curved head the way that we do, the curved spine, because they can't really stand upright easily the way that we do, right? And that is how you start to build that knowledge and memorization of how things work, because you're giving it context and you're not just looking at a picture. So again, I apologize if I'm going very slow here and you're like, man, Kaycem, bro, when are we getting to this? It's because I want to give you guys and myself a way to remember these things for the long term, right? This is I get this question all the time. How do I remember anatomy so well? It's because I try to relate it to myself and how I operate, because realistically, that's what anatomy is, right? It's the blueprint and building blocks of our structure, our physical structure that allows us to have mobility, allows us to do certain things and also not be able to do certain things. So that is why we're going in this pretty in depth. But let's go ahead now that we've said, okay, Kaycem, when are we getting to the horse? We're going to do it now. Okay, we're doing it now finally. All right. Yippee, yippee, yippee. I'm going to make this a normal layer, actually. I'm just going to lower the opacity, but I'm also going to add a little bit of blue here. Little bit of blue, light blue for the spine. Okay. So now let's get into the horse. How does this compare to the horse? Well, let's go in here first and foremost. Yes. Why does it look so light colored? I guess that's right. I don't know why it looks so light colored. We're gonna get into the scapula first of the horse, and already off the bat, bro, look at this. What the helly? What is this? Why is it already looking different from the human? Right? Well, it's because the functionality of the horse is different. It's different. So we're gonna go in here like this, and we're gonna roughly place the scapula here like so. And that little spine section there of the that ridge section of the scapula, that's actually gonna go like this. And we're not gonna get into that today. We'll probably get into it to day 2, right? But we're gonna place it here. Also, congratulations, we've hit the hour mark. So if you've been here for an hour, guys, please do like and subscribe to the video. We are just, a baby little educational channel out here on the internet. And if you've been enjoying it so far, I would greatly appreciate a like and subscribe. And actually, better yet, if you could just share this video, share it to friends, share it online to people you know, anybody who you think would benefit from this stuff. It greatly helps me and this community. I try to make my educational content as free as possible. And so one of the best ways to support me and the success of this channel so that I can keep doing stuff like this is just to spread the word. Let people know that this is actually something legit and it's not just a scary 1 hour, 2 hour long tutorial of some pure nonsense. I'm trying my best, and I appreciate the support and the interest if you guys have made it this far. And if you haven't made it this far, then that's okay. You don't have to subscribe and like and all that stuff. Okay. But anyways, let's continue, right? I had to do it. I had to do my due diligence as a content creator to ask you guys for your support, because that is how I survive out here on the internet, right? We survive by knowing and having people in our community vouch for us and vouch for what we do and what we're trying to do. But anyways, let's continue now, and we're gonna get to some bones, right? And again, just bear with me on this one. I know I'm moving fast, and you're gonna be like, Kaycem, bro, what the hell, man? You're not talking about any of these things. It's okay. I will get to them. I promise. Just hold on tight. Follow along as best as you can. I know I'm zooming fast here. It's because there's a lot that I want to cover, and we've hit the hour mark, and we've got a lot of dense knowledge, information out here. But look at that. We're done. We did it. Easy, easy. Yeah, don't be scared. All right. So now let's start color coding things as how we're seeing them. And the first thing we're going to color code is the scapula. I already mentioned here the scapula is different. But why is it so different? Well, it's different primarily, again, because the functionality here of the arms of a horse are going to be different than that of a human. The major component here, the major reason why, the horse needs those front legs is because it's moving on all fours. It needs it for speed, right? It doesn't have to have the functionality of raising its arms to have to move up and down or move them up and down like a human does. And so instead, we optimize that by shrinking. Look at that. Look at that yellow section. That's the humerus bone, guys. Sometimes I see a lot of artists get that mixed up. Even myself, when I was first starting out, I straight up thought that, I knew that, animals had similar structures to humans, but I actually thought that red section, this one right here, I thought this was the humerus bone. I thought this was where the upper arm of the horse started, right? That's what I used to think. I used to be like, oh, draw a horse? This is how horse looks like. And this is an arm of horse. No, 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 no. The upper arm actually starts here. It starts all the way here. This is the shoulder. This is the upper arm. Then this is the lower arm. And this is essentially the hands of the horse. It's pretty cool. All right. So that is something I had to learn. So when we go in here, these are some valuable things that I'm now highlighting for you guys. Oh, also I colored this one incorrectly. Oops. See, I was so distracted. I was so fascinated by the horse that I was just coloring, filling in the blanks. This is wrong. We actually need a new color because, as I mentioned earlier, the unique thing about horses is that because they are primarily using their feet for speed, right? They've traded in the ability to rotate their hands. They said, screw that. We don't need that. We want speed. So they said, ability to rotate hands? Nah. Speed? Let's go. And so what they've done as a creature, which I think is really cool, is they've done a fusion. They said, ulna radius, forget about it. This right here, boom. This now is their new bone. This is the thing that you'll find in a lot of hooved animals. Pretty cool, right? And then the rest of this we can make gray because this we'll get to another day, but this is going to be the hooved structure, you know, the fingies and all of that stuff that gets fused. Oh shit, that gets fused here. All right, so that's pretty sick. I think that's pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and just label a couple of these notes so that way we don't forget them, and I don't forget them, and you don't forget them, and nobody forgets them. This right here, as I mentioned, right, for hooved animals, the radius and ulna are fused together. Whoa. Insane. Crazy. Actually, I'm not even being sarcastic. I think that's so freaking cool. Also, right, this is the other thing. Humerus bone shortened. Because it's not as necessary. And you know what's really cool about this? We haven't talked about it yet, okay? But you guys might recall in this hold on here. In this muscle diagram, we haven't talked about the muscles too much, but there's a muscle called the deltoid, right? And the deltoid inserts in a couple places. It connects on the collarbone, right? The clavicle, the acromion process, and the scapula on the backside. And it also connects to that humerus bone with the major functionality of being able to pull up this arm. All muscles do is pull. That's it. If you want the basic, what do muscles do? They pull things. And then you have opposition of muscles, so that way it could pull one way and then pull back the other way. Think biceps and triceps, right? The deltoid is one example where it allows the ability to pull up the arm. But guess what? When a horse is doing its thing, horses don't need deltoid muscles. Not as much as humans do. So later when we actually get into the skeletal structure of the upper arms, or I guess for the sake of horses, the not upper, but front arms, I should say. Front arm, does that make sense? Yeah, front arms, their deltoid muscles are tiny, guys. They got little baby deltoid muscles because they don't need it. It's a little sliver for the horse. So kind of cool, right? Again, we're not going to dive too much into that today because there's so many things to dive into. But I just wanted to show the relationship, right? It's not just like, oh, shorter humerus bone. Everything changes fundamentally, which is cool. But you might say, all right, well, Kaycem, we've done horses. We've done humans. But what about the other animals? You know, what about the other ones out here? Surely there's some other interesting things. And actually, let's get into that example, because let's draw now a feline. All right, we're gonna get into the feline example here. So when it comes to a cat, we're gonna get kind of a weird in between, right? And this is felines, not just cats, but we're talking big cats as well, tigers, lions. That's the only ones I know. Embarrassing. There's more than those two for sure. But when it comes to them, they like horses have their shoulder blades, their scapulas, on the sides of their bodies, because just like horses, they are quadrupeds, right? They're mostly walking on all fours. And so they're going to have similar shaped scapulas, at least relative to what we've seen so far with the human arm. The human arm's a human arm, right? And you'll see that when we look at gorillas or primates, they're going to be closer to the human arm because they have the ability to reach up and above. But then you might say, okay, well, does that mean then, Kaycem, that what's it called? Just like horses, these feline creatures also have fused forearms? Does that mean that they don't have a radius and they don't have an ulna? You are actually wrong. No, you're actually wrong, because unlike the horse, which is only mostly caring about speed, felines are here to hunt. Okay, they're here to kill, and they got claws, and those claws, they need to be rotating a bit to allow for them to get that proper grip. When you see like a cougar pouncing on a gazelle or whatever the hell they're hunting, they got to be able to. They need to grip that thing from any and all angles. You know what I'm saying? So they have to still have that ability to rotate. And this is where I think learning creature design starts to get really fun, is because now you're learning things. You're learning about not just the bones and stuff, but you're learning about functionality and how those things actually translate to how these creatures live and operate. I don't know. I think it's cool. I used to be a big fan of Zaboomafoo when I was a kid, so I feel like I'm finally fulfilling this childhood itch of mine to be able to go back and actually learn and understand animals a little bit better. I don't know why I didn't study animals sooner. Honestly, I think I was intimidated. Let me know in the comments below if you guys were also intimidated with drawing animals, because I don't know. I think I was scared, okay? Animals look tough. But hey, maybe if I had done it sooner, I could have been a furry artist. And all jokes aside, I do think furry artists do make good money. Right? It's not even a joke or a myth. I think they actually make decent money when in the right circles. But anyways, we got here. Oh, let's color it first before we get ahead of ourselves, right? We gotta get in here, do some coloring. Lasso tool. So this right here is the scapula, similar to the horse. Very nice. And then we got that little ridge section, similar to the horse. Very nice. But where the differences lie are in the humerus bone, still smaller than the human, right? Relative to the sizing of things, still smaller, but it gives them a little bit of more mobility to be able to move their arms. And unlike the horse, they still have the radius and ulna, because they still need that functionality, though not as much to the same degree as humans do. Humans be busted, okay? We're using that shit. We're using our arms every day, up and down, side to side, rotating, whatever. So we do use it quite a bit, probably more so than, again, the average animal, right? But let's go ahead and let's label these things. This right here is the scapula. This right here is humerus. Hurrah, funny. This right here is the ulna. And this right here is the radius. Now we'll get to the feet and stuff as well, the differences between paws and hands and hooves and claws and all that stuff. Just not today, because you guys could imagine if we did, this would be like a whole 24-hour video, and that's a little much even for my standards, you know. A 24-hour video, Kaycem. What are we doing out here, man? What kind of subathon, educational subathon are we doing? Teaching a whole college level art course in one day, you know. We're not going to get into that today, so don't worry, don't be scared. All right, I assure you, I'm a sane man most days. We're going to just draw here the outline because I do like to visualize it a little bit. We don't have to do it for the horse because we have that shitty the shitty Google picture with the watermark still on it. So, you know, I didn't draw the section there, but you know, you guys can see it here. But yeah, let's move on now. So we've done all this and we've highlighted some interesting factoids about the human and all that stuff, right? And the arms. Oh, let me write down 1 second. This is a feline. Feline arm. Okay. Very cool. And let me just, for the sake of things, because, you know, it's good for us to know it, right? What is the definition of a quadruped? We should put it out here because I'm giving you guys all these definitions and terms and stuff, right? Quadruped. So let me write it down so that way we all have it happy dandy. We've squared it away, right? Quadrupeds are basically, guys, animals that animals that usually almost always but usually, just for the sake of covering all our bases, usually maintain a four-legged posture, and more importantly, they move with all four legs. Right? And as I mentioned, animals that usually maintain this four-legged posture and move with all four legs will have a unlimited range of motion. Rotation motion, I should say. All right. Range of, I'll say, rotation of four arms slash four legs. Right. And this is, again, primarily related to the hands and, I guess, hooves and stuff. They'll have a lot of range of motion going forward and back. So going, I don't know what the proper Latin term is, but they will have a lot of range of motion that way. And we can probably talk about that. But for now, let's jump into the legs, right? Because the legs are going to be different. This one probably a lot of people knew, right? And we actually alluded to this one earlier when we talked about the diagram of the pelvis, right? Because we said the pelvis already looking a little different than the human pelvis. But let's talk specifically what that is about. And I have made room, thankfully, right above, right here. So we'll draw this one first. So we're going to draw the pelvis inside view. Now, again, if you guys want to have a much more deeper understanding of the pelvis and all that stuff, I do highly recommend you check out the Character Design Bootcamp. That will give you that knowledge of the pelvis a little bit better. But it's not a mandatory thing that you need to know for this bootcamp. It just helps you out a bit more. But here's the structure of the pelvis over on this side of my screen. Here, you can kind of see how it looks almost like a butterfly shape, where you have two wings and that center is basically connected together by something known as the sacrum, right? The sacrum where that tailbone is. In side view, though, it kind of looks like this a little bit, right? And that's kind of what we're drawing in now. We're going to draw that crest right here. That crest that we talked about actually for the ASIS, right? The anterior superior iliac spine, the little ridge on the pelvis. And then there's going to be a little socket right here where that socket basically connects to the femur. So now we're introducing new terms. Yay, new anatomy. See, I told you guys we would get into anatomy in this boot camp, but now it's going to be relevant to animals and stuff. So again, if you want to learn more about it, you know where to go. But for the sake of this one, I will introduce just the basics. No muscles even today. See, it's not even that scary. We're not even getting into muscles. Imagine if I bombarded you guys with muscles too. Deltoids, quadriceps, biceps, triceps, hamstrings, all of those things. Oof. That's a bit much for one stream. Hence why we'll be breaking them down in future streams. Yay! So it's kind of cool because I'll be teaching you guys anatomy, and I'll be teaching myself. I should be more specific in saying I'll be teaching myself a lot of the anatomy of these things. And then in turn, you guys can start learning about them too. You guys can start learning about human anatomy and all that stuff without having to have done the character design bootcamp, right? So I know I'm going to get a lot of questions. I already have been getting a lot of questions actually on my Discord from people who've said, "Hey, do I need to do this do I need to do the character design bootcamp first to do this one?" No, you definitely don't have to. Will it be helpful? Yeah, sure. I mean, more knowledge is always helpful. But, it's okay because either way, I will be covering these things. It will just be more focused on animal stuff and less focused on actual character design stuff because that's not what the name of this bootcamp is. So let's go ahead now, though, and let's color these things. I don't know what layer and what manner of witchcraft I have layered these things and where the color layer is. Jesus, where is it? What the heck? Wait a minute. This is hold on. What layer did I color? Did I color these diagrams? They're not showing up at all. Oh, I forgot to scroll up. There you go. Sorry about that. I was a little panicked for a second. Okay, let's go ahead and color this one similarly to how we colored the other parts, right? So here we're going to give this color blue. This will be our good old section here for the pelvis. We're going to give a little special color for the crest, right? Why, you might ask? Well, I don't know. I think it's nice to highlight. Then we're going to get into the femur, and I will label all these things, so don't worry. This is the upper leg. Right here. Then we're going to get into the big bone right here, which is the tibia. I will also label that. Then I will label this one the fibula. And you might be wondering, Kaycem, why are you coloring the same? Well, guys, it's because they kind of mirror each other in functionality. I don't know if you guys knew this, but arms and legs are kind of actually similar. They're just kind of like the flipped versions of each other. And I'm going to give the patella, the kneecap here, its own color. Let's give it light blue. I'm running out of colors. Hot pink. There you go. And then for the feet, we are going to make them gray. Nice and simple. Gray. Okay. So now we get to do the labeling of this. So again, oh, hold on, sorry. I forgot the tailbone. What color should the tailbone be? Orange. Ah, that's too bright. Orange. It looks too close like the humerus bone. Let me get like a little bit more of a richer orange. There you go. All right. So again, we will label this. This is the pelvis, right? This is the femur. This right here is the iliac crest. Over here. This right here is the tailbone of the, well, we'll call it the sacrum, but it's like the tailbone of the sacrum. I mean, you guys get what I'm talking about. Then we have here in green on the outer side is the fibula. Then on the bigger one of the lower leg is the tibia. And again, fun fact, if you touch yourself down there on your legs, you'll be able to find that. If you've ever heard the term the shin bone, that's what this is. This is the shin bone right here. It's the tibia. Okay, you can touch it. You'll find it pretty hard. Hurts when somebody kicks you there. when you damage it, it's very painful. So that's because it's a bone, and there's literally not a lot of things covering that section other than skin and maybe some thin layer of fat. It ain't being protected all that much. Okay, it's unfortunate. And then here's the feet. We don't care about the feet. And again, this right here is the human, so big, human leg. Human leg. Feline arm. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead here and just move this on the edge. We're living on the edge here. And now that we've done a lot of this, let's go ahead and let's jump into the horse. Right? We've done the good work here of establishing the information for the human leg. So let's go in and do the horse. Now, the hard part, the truly hard part, is figuring out what layer I drew these things in. That's actually been the hardest thing of this stream. No joke. It's just figuring out the 40 layers now that I've made of this thing. But okay, so we've got here the pelvis. And as I drew earlier, if you guys have already forgotten, this is roughly the pelvis of the horse. You might say, Kaycem, what the hell is this? Yeah, same. But that's okay, because again, our main thing is going to not necessarily be, we're not going to have to remember all the details, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to connect that pelvis now to the femur of the horse, right? And this will also be something that might blow your mind. I don't know. It blows my mind learning these things. But guys, the knee, hold on. I'll get to this, okay? This is it right here. This right here is the femur. From here, okay, this right here is a bone. And then this right here, ooh la la, is the hoof, right? Now let's talk about this, because oh man, this is the shit that again spooks me to my core. Okay, because as I told you guys, well, first of all, let me get rid of the gray here, because now we're gonna recolor. If I can find the layer that has the colored gray. There has to be a system that allows you, oh, here we go. There has to be a system that allows you just to easily find stuff on a given layer. I know it exists. I know someone's probably going to comment it like, Kaycem, bro, there's this cool tool. Please comment it in the chat, okay? Comment it down below if you know the easy peasy hack way of figuring out what thing is in what layer, because by God, this shit's painful. I'm literally oh, here it is. Wait, I guess I could label things like a good Samaritan. That's also a legitimate solution. But okay, let's go ahead now and let's color code the way that we've color coded this one over here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to color code here the leg, right? Not the leg, the pelvis. Then we're gonna color code the what's it called? The little ridge there, minor, much more smaller. Then we're gonna color code the femur, yippee. Then we're gonna color code the fibula and tibia, right? Psych! We're not, because just like the forearm, wait a minute, this shit's fused together. Bruh. Again, they don't care. Horses do not care about rotating their shit, man. They're there for speed. They said, we will gladly trade the ability to rotate for the ability of speed. I don't know how many of you guys would make that trade, though. You get to run faster, but you cannot rotate your arms or feet. Is that a worthy trade for humans? I don't know. I don't know about that. And then last but not least, we got the whole tailbone section, right? The tailbone section is like it's essentially this whole shebang, but yeah, I believe it's this section. Let me double check actually. Let's look up horse skeleton. Pelvis. Yeah, this whole section right here, essentially from the bottom down of this pelvic region. This becomes now the sacrum and effectively the tailbone, which actually has a cool name. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but it has some cool names. You know, I don't want to scare you guys. Not yet. I don't want to scare you guys just yet. But okay, I wanna highlight here just like how we highlighted it earlier. Okay, this right here, tibia and fibula are also fused. Oh shit, crazy. Fused together. Horses are literally built different, bro. Fusion. Okay, so we've gotten that out the way. But again, I just want to highlight something, okay? Because there is something that I think has baffled my mind. If I could find the right layer. What are these layers? Oh my god. This one. It's got to be this one. No, this one. No, this one. Oh yes, this one. Okay. Let me highlight also this, because I forgot to draw it earlier for good reason, for good intention. But this right here, guys, you're not gonna believe it. Okay? You're not, and maybe you will. Honestly, maybe I'm just over exaggerating and I'm the only one that's geeking here. But I genuinely thought when I was first learning about animals that this right here, this section was the like upper leg, and that this was like the knee of the horse, right? And then this was like the lower leg or something. No, that's not how it works. Actually, I found out that the knees are up here. What do you mean to tell me that the knees of the horse are all the way up here, and this is the lower leg, and this whole thing is effectively the foot of the horse? Crazy, actually crazy. But now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. And let me actually show you guys something really cool, because an easy way to remember how to draw animals is to actually pay attention to how these two major shapes of the arms and the legs of the animal, this is a horse, actually, look at them, they're rhythms. Boom, 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 right? Look at this one. Boom, boom, boom. It's just a mirror of each other. And so if you want to learn how to draw an animal, just do this. That's it. And then draw the wee, tail, head. Okay, this looks bad, but you get the point, right? Insane. Truly insane. I'm geeking. Me being the nerd that I am, I get excited over making these kind of discoveries. But let's go ahead and let's squeeze in here, if we have some room, the feline version, right? Because we drew the human version. We got that one, right? Let's go ahead now and draw the feline version to just really, to really solidify our understanding, okay? We're going to move this one here, and I think this will really help us out. So you might say, cool, Kaycem, we're going to do exactly what we did last time, right? Surely there's no gimmicks here. And actually, you're correct. You are very much correct to make that assumption, because just like how the feline the feline upper arm was very similar, the pelvis is also kind of similar too, right? So the feline here takes a playbook from the horse and has a little bit more of an elongated shape there for the pelvis, like so. And then also don't forget the tail, right? It's got a tail. That's already one major difference between felines and humans. But then the humerus, or not the humerus, the femur is also going to be a little bit smaller, right? A little bit smaller than the humans, but still longer than the horse. And then we have here, similar to humans, right? We actually still have the radius, not the radius, sorry, the tibia and the fibula. Now, the major difference, though, if I may say, honestly, the major difference between horses and felines and people is the feet, which unfortunately we're not getting to today, because boy, oh boy, that's literally a whole dedicated stream to itself. Feet fans, get excited, because we're going to do a day dedicated to different kind of feet. Claws, paws, feet, hooves, whatever else is in between. We're going to get a whole dedicated day for that one. So, yippee. But let's go ahead and color this one as well, just like we've done for everything else, right? We're going to do our due justice, our due diligence here, and be good note takers and color everything, because we are now reinforcing the visual information. Visual information. Boom. This in red. There you go. And then we got the one in green as well. There you go. Oh, don't forget the little kneecaps. I like knees. I like kneecap. Not in like a weird fetish way. I just think they're cool. I just think that they're a very complex, interesting part of the human body. And they're like, I don't know, they're like weirdly complex. And they look kind of funny. They kind of look like a baby's face. I'll do that in another day, maybe another example. Actually, do you guys want to see? I'll show you guys really quick. Hold on. Baby face structure. Yeah, take a look at this. Okay. We're gonna go here. This is such a wild tangent, but we're talking about knees, so it's not the worst tangent, I guess, ever. But I think, oh my god, this is a scary baby face. I think that if you take the structure of a baby head, okay, this might sound wild, but if you take the structure of a baby head like so, this is not the best example, but the structure of the baby head, like so, and if you just kind of like shade where the shadows would be of a baby head, right? You technically kind of get the structure of a knee. I might be on to maybe not. I'll do this one another day. But this is kind of how I think about knees. If I want to draw the knee, I'm just like imagining the face of a baby. It's here. It's here. A goo goo gaga. Anyways, unrelated, but I'll leave this here for somebody to get spooked by. We might have went on a tangent there. Going back here though, let's go ahead and label this. All right. So we have here obviously the pelvis. We know this. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I forgot to do the crest, right? So we got here the crest, iliac crest. Ooh, I'm running out of space. Lovely. Then we got here the femur. Then we got here the sacrum, aka also the length of the tailbone, right? So sacrum plus tailbone, but we'll just write the tailbone. Then we got the fibula. And we got the tibia. Boom. And then this right here is a feline leg. Delicious. All right. And with that, guys, we've covered a huge amount on day one of this bootcamp. Again, we've covered everything from the basics of the human torso and how all of those things relate now to the structure of the spine, the differences in the spine of a human versus an animal, and also the differences between the arms and the legs of these things. There are going to be many more differences and many more similarities that we are going to get to in future days of the bootcamp. But I hope that you guys enjoyed day one. And if you did, again, please like and subscribe if you're watching from YouTube. Join me on that next live stream, which happens every Saturday at 8 a.m. PST. So that way you can not only follow along, but you'll be able to grab these for free. Join in on the workshops. And then also, last but not least, if you could just spread the word, share this with other communities, post it on Reddit, post it on your socials. Maybe if you followed along, post your progress so I could repost that you guys have been following along with me. Anything that you can do to help let people know that we exist and that this community exists, that would be greatly appreciated. But with that, happy drawings, and I'll catch you for day 2 of this bootcamp, which hopefully should be linked by the time I post this video. I don't know. We'll see. All right. See you guys. Bye.